Well, hello. This is Joshua with Gongs Unlimited, and the assembly video for the new Tonal Life bridge for gongs up to 36 inches. A bridge between two square frame gong stands. It will fit a square tube framed gong stand of any make model that is 1.25 to 1 inch to 3/4 inch. I have a 32 inch gong behind me that I am planning to hang between these other two 32 inch gongs. These parts on the floor here, which is two halves of the archway that is the bridge with the gong hook. Two clamping on pieces to clamp onto your existing square tube frame. And there are 3 large wing nuts and a center plate to hold everything on the top of the arch. So to assemble the bridge, the gong holding bridge, I will start right here since I'm on the ground on the floor. I'll set aside the 2 clamp pieces, hold one large winged wing nut, which will tie into this center plate, and just bring the 2 halves of the arc that is the holder together. One has a rigid connector, and the other, for the sake of this stand, this piece that is the same connector, but it is tied to a threaded bolt. And we want that to be able to move, but we don't want it to be loose. So I'm going to make sure it is down and in, and then just a little bit loose. And then on the ground, making sure that both halves of the arc are coming together with the one half of the 2-parted gong hook facing up. And bring the 2 connectors together. Slide this top plate through both holes, and then with one of those large wing nuts on the back, hold those together. This does not need to be tight. I just want this to start, and that will bring the pivot point for that arch as we get up into the air. This plate right here, for now I'm going to make sure that holding plate is touching both of these poles. I'm going to tighten it enough that it stays in place, but I can still rotate it. I'm going to set that down for now, and then grab my 2 add-on clamps and stand up into the space where I want to hang a 3rd gong in between 2 existing gong stands. This, because of this rotation in between the 2 and the rotation above, can angle, arc, fit your space however you like. I'm going to set this up for a given standard at a given parallel. The space that works best for a 32 inch gong for how I'm going to install it is about 48 inches between both stands. That obviously can change given your parameters, size of gong, and your space. But I'm going to start by giving these 2 about 48 inches in between each other. I'm going to pull that in to 48, and then I'm going to install this clamping mechanism into both sides of the frame of the existing 2 stands. Starting by taking one large long wing bolt out, leaving the bolt in that top holder so that this small part can swing. I'm going to install this, set this with this part with the hole, which is actually the holder to the whole bridge, facing inside the bridge, where this part, the clamp mechanism, facing inside this pyramid of square catches, the smallest one being about 3/4 of an inch, the middle one is about 1 inch, and the outer one is 1.25 inches. And this is 1.25 inch tube from Tonal Life and I'm going to set that in place and then swing this arm over and then fasten it with this large winged wing bolt just until it holds without falling, which is about until this bolt comes all the way to the end of the nut that holds it on both sides. We want them to be even. So just tight enough to hold it. And I'm going to set the elevation to the bridge at 20 inches from the top to this piece. That's what I found to be a really good parameter for the 48-inch width and something that will hold the 32-inch gong. A good spacing as a given start parameter, but it's all adaptable. It's adaptable to your size of gong and your situation. The only important thing is that the distance this is from top of the gong stand is the same on both sides. So, like I said, I will use 20 inches from the top of here to the top of the holder to the bridge. What's that called in science when you make an experiment with something big? Variable given, I don't know, I forgot. It doesn't change, so it's the same on both sides. So 20 inches from here to the top of that, and lightly lock that in. Repeat the same on the other side. So that is with this whole mechanism, loosening one of these bolts so that it flows freely, so that this clamp arm is loose. To match this side, I'm going to measure down 20 inches to the top of that for the sake of it being in the same elevation. So they're same, and then I will tighten these large wing bolts down to lock in the base holder for both sides, both anchor points of the bridge. And then back to the bridge itself, which I have already sent the bolt through, the wing bolt, so it has this great pivot. And we'll start from one side, placing this large threaded bolt into that hole in the holder, and then swing over and place the other. Placing them both, and then large wing nuts here. I'm going to start this so it all stays in place without it being too tight. And then back up here to this top registration plate. And I'm going to loosen the wing bolt at the top and re-straighten that top registration plate. I want to make sure that both ends of this plate are touching both tubes, both arms, both reaches of the arc. Make sure it's touching, and then tighten this down as tight as you can. Obviously, you don't want to leave that registration plate crooked, because it's important to hold these two in line with each other. Holding that in place, tighten as tight as you can by hand, and then come back down, and then tighten both anchor points to the arc of the bridge. And once this registration plate is straight and level, and the large wing bolt back here is nice and tight, and we step back and we see we have the arch, and everything looks level, feels level, and is the right width that we have to hang whichever style size gong we're going to hang from this. You want to use that last little wing bolt in the back here. There is a spot to put that last little bolt, which is like a lock set, and this will lock in the angle of these two that meet right here in our arc at the right spacing for our situation. So I'll put that in. There's a little threaded nut on the back side that I'm turning that into until it hits the bolt that holds one of those connectors, and then just tighten that down. And that will lock in the actual pitch of our arc. Everything is now nice and tight and level and in the right elevation. Obviously, this being, and before I put that lock set in, I could pull the two stands apart I'll loosen this real quick for demonstration's sake. The arc will open, or as I pull it together, it'll close to give you whichever, parameters of space for whichever gong you need, or however it fits your given space. Once all of that is dialed in, tighten that back, set lock, and once everything's locked in, you can move this, because everything in the bridge arc hits this just a round peg and a round hole kind of hinge situation. So you can bend this at an angle. Very easy. If you can rotate the previously two separate stands, now bridged as a 3-gong setup, to hinge in, hinge out, go straight, roll around, to fit whatever kind of a space you might have. So there is the Cone of Life bridge to add a gong stand to 2 existing gong stands.